Welcome back, everybody, to another episode. I hope all of you guys had a fine Thanksgiving. I know for a fact I did. I ate a lot, got to watch football. It was pretty fun for me. So, speaking of football, let's talk a little bit about it. I just want to hop right into it. You guys haven't seen me for a little bit. All right. Packers beat Lions. Now, I watched that game and go Pack, go. Like I said last week with the Bears, I never thought I'd be rooting for the Bears, and I rooted for the Packers this week. Absolutely shocking. I don't think anyone expected me to root for the Packers and the Bears. I used to like the Lions. Well, I didn't ever like the Lions, but I used to respect the Lions fans' grind and everything like that. And now that they're doing good, nah, they can go away. I don't respect that. I want to win the division, and I don't see the Bears and Packers as a threat. So let's just go in. Let's have them beat the Lions, and then we can just call it a day. So I just want to touch on that game just a little more than any of the other Thursday games. Jordan Love with an absolute perfect, almost perfect performance. 22 for 32, 268 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Jordan Love played absolutely amazing inside this game. Absolutely phenomenal. I don't think really him 2 games ago, would he have made this same impact? No, Jordan Love two games ago would not make this same impact. He woke up, he chose violence, came outside, and he scored 20 points in the first quarter of the game. Now, from there, where they stopped, they scored 3 in the second, 6 in the third, none in the fourth. They allowed 6 points in the first, 0 in the second, 8 in the third, and 8 in the fourth. But, a good, credible win for the Packers in that football game, stopping the Lions the entire way around. Yeah, the Lions had more yards, and that's because the Lions are just a heavy offense team. But the Packers had more yards per play. The Lions had more first downs. The Lions, if you look at it, the Lions had a better third down efficiency. The Lions' fourth down efficiency was 1 for 5. 1 out of 5. Now, stopping the Lions themselves is very hard, let alone on fourth down, because the two teams that I believe have the highest conversion rate are the Lions and the Eagles, because the Eagles always get it fourth and short and do the tush push, and you have the Lions that, you have a ballsy head coach in Dan Campbell, and Dan Campbell will go out and he'll say, you know what, I'm going to put this trust in my guys to go in and I'm going to have them win this football game for us. I truly believe that, if we get this here, and I'm a big person of this too, if you get a fourth down conversion towards the start of the game, it's kind of like rushing the ball, where, I talked about that when I was commentating on my high school state game. When you run the ball, when you have gutsy calls, when you go for it on 4th and 7 at the start of the game, if you get that could be the momentum booster right at the start of the game for your team to win that game, because it shows who the gutsier team is in that fact. Like I was telling people when I was commentating, I said, you want to run it at the start of the game because you want to show your physical dominance. If you show your physical dominance and you show you're the tougher team, you can use that as momentum forward and momentum to carry you to a win. So that's what I feel like the Packers did. The Packers stopped the Lions on fourth down 4 out of 5 times. They stopped the Lions on 80% of their fourth down attempts. It's absolutely amazing. The Packers had 54 plays all game. The Lions had 78. The Lions allowed 3 sacks, and their penalties broke pretty even. Both of them had 7 penalties. The Packers 7 penalties for 60 yards, and the Lions 7 penalties for 51 yards. The Lions lost 3 fumbles. So in total, if the Lions did not screw up this much, would the Lions have won this football game? Most definitely. The Lions turned over on downs 4 times in this game, and they had 3 fumbles that were lost. They had 7 turnovers in this game and still kept it to a 7-point game. I mean, now, are the Lions an overrated team? Yes. People can argue with me about that every day of the week. The Lions are the most overrated team in the league. I just met a Lions fan today. He said they're the most underrated. I disagree. The Lions are the most overrated team in the league. They don't have a Super Bowl caliber defense. Now, if you had the Lions offense and you had like the Ravens defense, oh, you're winning the Super Bowl. Without a doubt. You're going 17-0, winning the Super Bowl. Now, does the Ravens defense let up points? Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about that a little bit, but you know, the Lions have a high-scoring offense, and they don't have that great of a defense. They have a good defense, but they don't have that great of a defense. So the Packers, did the Packers luck out in this game? Yes. Did the Packers also put up a great game? Yes. Jordan Love played better than I ever expected him to. I mean, you compare it. Jared Goff threw 29 for 44, 332 yards and 2 touchdowns. David Montgomery had a touchdown on the ground. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Khalif Raymond had over 90 yards on the day. You know, you just look at it and you see how good this team played, but just the fumbles just outweighed it. The fumbles were what happened for this team, and I love to see Jaden Reed of the Packers get looks because I saw him in preseason, and I said, you know what, I like that kid. 4 receptions for 34 yards and a touchdown. Jaden Reed is a young kid, and he has a lot of potential in him. I mean, just look at his game log. If you look at his game log, week 1 versus Chicago, he had 5 targets, 2 receptions, 48 yards. Versus Atlanta, I'm just going to say the catches. 4 catches, 37 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then versus New Orleans, 3 catches, 63 yards, 0 touchdowns. Detroit, 3 catches, 55 yards, 0. Las Vegas, 1 for 7, 0. That's not that great of a game. Versus Denver, 3 for 21 and a touchdown. Versus the Vikings, 4 for 83, 0 touchdowns. Versus the Rams, he went 3 for 3 on targets and receptions, 19 yards, 0 touchdowns. Versus Pittsburgh, 5 for 5, another 100% game for 84 yards and a touchdown. 4 for 6 and 46 yards against the Chargers, 0 touchdowns. And then versus the Lions, like I already stated, he had 4 receptions for 34 yards and a touchdown. A kid that has a lot of potential in his bag. I mean, this is his, breakout season. This kid, he got drafted 2nd round, pick 50 overall, and I didn't think that he would be that great. But I mean, just look at it. He's 3 yards short of 500 yards. Just put him in for a couple more games. He just has to get those receptions in. He'll get over 50 receptions by the end of the season. He'll probably get over 750 yards, and who knows, he might get 8 touchdowns. Not that bad, and they haven't been utilizing him at all. I mean, he has 59 targets and 36 receptions. So they haven't really utilized him to his full potential. And if you look at his rushing in total this season, he has 81 rushing yards on 7 attempts. And he also has a touchdown. He has a touchdown on the ground. He has more rushing touchdowns than Alexander Madison, the Vikings the Vikings running back, has rushing touchdowns. So I like this kid. I like to see him get those good looks, that positive feedback for that game. When the Vikings play the Packers, if he gets a first down or a touchdown or whatever, as long as we win, I don't care. But I hope the best for him. And it's funny because he was born in Chicago, Illinois, so he probably grew up being a Bears fan, and now he just likes the Packers. He plays for the Packers. Why wouldn't you? Hey, I mean, I grew up a Vikings fan, and I don't think that that's ever going to change. But hey, if I ever played for a franchise, I'd probably be a fan of that franchise after a little bit of time. Wouldn't you think so? Because I think I would be a fan of that franchise. But anyway, enough talking about that. Cowboys slaughter Commanders. Everybody saw this coming. I don't think anyone, expected the Commanders to win. I mean, there was somebody that was like, they're a dark horse candidate to win that game. But no, I really didn't think so. And 49ers beat Seahawks. Once again, Not even a shocker there. Dolphins beat Jets, not a shocker. Colts beat Bucks, not a shocker. Giants beat Patriots in another low-scoring game. The Patriots with back-to-back, I'm talking very terrible games. Patriots, this game, lost 7-10, and last game lost 6-10. Very uninteresting games. So that's a team that you don't really want to watch for like the entirety of this season, if you know what I'm saying. But Steelers over Bengals, not that shocking after the Joe Burrow injury. Titans over Panthers, not shocking. Jags over Texans, is it shocking? No. Did I expect it to happen? No. I mean, I like the Texans. I want the Texans to do good. It's because I like CJ Stroud, but I want them to do good. I thought that they were going to win this football game. They just doinked it on that field goal, could not get it in. Falcons win against the Saints. Now, I watched that game as it was going on, and that game was absolutely amazing. I love that game so much. I mean, Desmond Ridder, the team that won, had less than 178 yards. 170 yards passing. Chris Olave for the Saints, who I loved when he originally got drafted. I loved Chris Olave when he played at Ohio State. Chris Olave and Desmond Ridder were like 50 yards apart from having the same amount of yards. Desmond Ridder went 13 for 21, 168 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. If Bijan Robinson was not there to bail the Falcons out, they would have lost. So this game was a very, very, very great game. I mean, Derek Carr comes in. Does he have that interception? Yeah, but he goes 24 for 38, 304 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, an interception. Even with that interception, I mean, that's not terrible. It's still not terrible for you. He has 2 carries for 7 yards on the ground that game. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. I mean, I would definitely take that. It's a 300-yard game. It's like the Vikings in the first 2 weeks have great games, and somehow they end up losing both of the football games. I don't understand how you can do that when you have back-to-back absolutely phenomenal games on the quarterback and on the wide receiver, but yet you somehow still lose that football game. I can't comprehend it. It's just, there's 3 different sets. There's offense, defense, and special teams, and when you don't have all firing on cylinder, then they don't work out right. But Rams bully the Cardinals 37-14. Now, this was not a shocker for who won. It was just a shocker on how much of a dominating force LA came in. And I guess this is what a fully healthy LA team is a team that can just go out and dominate, but you got to also think it's versus the Cardinals. But the Rams themselves have not been bad all season. They're sitting at a 5-6 record. They're sitting right outside of a playoff spot. They can still make the playoffs. They're in the hunt. And they need to keep on playing games like that if they want to succeed and go into the playoffs. The Broncos keep their train win rolling and beat the Browns 29-12. Now, when I say that is a shocker, I mean that is a shocker. I had Vikings beating Broncos, let alone Browns beating Broncos. But I guess the Broncos are just going to keep on pushing and pushing and pushing. Being 6-5 now and having a winning record, that's just what you got to look at. You got to look at that quarterback in Russell Wilson and his fact to just throw the ball, and he goes out there and wins. Doesn't even throw for 150 yards, but yet goes out there and win. And this also comes to the fact of whether or not the Broncos defense can stand up. The Broncos defense had, well, if you look at it, the Broncos defense had made 3 punts, had 4 sacks, had 3 fumbles taken away from the Browns. and they stopped the Browns on 3 separate third downs. So they had a +6 turnover rate. Well, not a +6, because if you look at it, they failed on 4th down once. They lost a fumble. So they had a +4, but still a +4. They went in, they won this game. This is what that Broncos defense is about. I mean, I'm still mad about that hit on Joshua Dobbs that should have been called as an illegal hit, but, you can't complain about the past. Now, another game that I watched, Eagles versus Bills, way better than Chiefs versus Raiders, which, I wasn't able to watch, and I'm glad I didn't. I probably wouldn't have anyway. Let me talk on that real quick. I thought the Raiders were going to win at the start of that game. The Raiders just took a big lead, and then the Chiefs said, and the Chiefs just went ahead, and the Chiefs dominated for the rest of the game. But the Bills versus Eagles, now this should not have been that close. The Bills, in my opinion, are an overhyped NFL team. They are not a Super Bowl caliber team like they were originally thought to be and how they have been the past few years. The Eagles come into this game, and I am on the phone with my friend Gabe, who has been on my show before, and he's an Eagles fan. And I told him the Eagles are going to win this game. And when it went into overtime, he said, man, I don't know if we're going to win. And I said, Josh Allen never wins in overtime. I guarantee you the Eagles will end up winning this football game. And the Eagles ended up winning this football game. And fly, Eagles, fly. Anything to keep the Lions out of that number 1 seed, because out of the couple Lions fans that I've met here, they used to be humble. I used to want the best for them. But now that the Lions are getting to be good, they're nothing but cocky. And as a Vikings fan, when the Vikings did really good, was I cocky? No, not really. Because I looked at it and I said, man, it's a 1-score game. You got to give us credit where it's due, that we're able to go out there, we're able to dominate, and we're able to win. But at the same point, we're not going to win a Super Bowl with this team this year. I thought that we would have made it to the divisional round last year, but I was wrong. I just didn't think that we were going to win the Super Bowl. So Lions fans that are so overhyped about their team and they think that they're so good now, I don't really want the Lions to do that good anymore. Then you have Ravens versus Chargers. Zay Flowers with the end-around rushing touchdown. An amazing just draw up and play right there. Zay Flowers, well, they actually called it a pass. I thought it was an end around. 3-yard pass from Lamar Jackson. They have it right here. 37-yard rush by Justin Tucker. So Zay Flowers had a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown on the day, which leads to my point of the fact, you look at it. Zay Flowers, I said he was going to be the best rookie wide receiver in the draft class. Now, that could go to Puka Nacua. That could go to Jordan Addison. It could go to him. It's definitely not going to Quentin Johnson. I mean, he has butter on his fingers all the time. He cannot catch a single pass. Dropped the game winner versus Green Bay. But Zay Flowers, 5 receptions for 25 yards and a touchdown receiving, and 1 rush for 37 yards and a touchdown rushing. So, this kid, he's good. He's something else. But time to get to the nitty-gritty of football and talk about the Bears versus Vikings game. Now, you guys all know Tyler pretty well, and I was talking to Tyler today, and Tyler told me, I got a score prediction for tonight. And he said exactly like this, 24-0 Vikings. Even he doesn't think that the Bears will win. Now, I don't have to teach religion class tonight. We have religion class off. And I'm just going to sit and I'm going to watch this football game. And I hopefully will see the Vikings win this. But I mean, I can't even say anything. The Vikings need this win. They're coming in. Justin Jefferson has been sitting on the bench, and I get the point of him saying, hey, my health is way more important than your guys' fantasy points. my health and my career is way more important than my team winning right now. But at the same point, guy, you've been out 8 weeks with an injury that takes 4 to 5 weeks to heal. You've been out for almost double the time that it takes. You've been out for almost double the time. It's like he tore his Achilles. I mean, at this rate, he'll be back at the same time that Aaron Rodgers will be back. It'll take that long of a time. And I don't mean, he'll be back when Aaron Rodgers starts playing. No, I'm saying he'll be back in the amount of time that it took Aaron Rodgers to get fully healed up from his Achilles injury, which I don't know if he had an Achilles tear because, it didn't really look that real. It kind of looked staged by him. No doubt something happened, but I don't know if his Achilles got torn. But the Vikings just need to look out. Joshua Dobbs, this will be his chance to redeem himself. He did not have a great game versus the Broncos. Now, did he have a bad game? No, not at all. Did he have he had a decent game. I would say that. But this is where he needs to prove himself. He needs to prove himself back again. He can win. He can come off of a loss, and he can win. 3-8 Chicago Bears, who are much improved, versus the 6-5 Minnesota Vikings at US Bank. It is at the bank. So we will see what the Vikings can do here. And I think that the Vikings should win this football game. But you never know. It could come down to a coin toss. My score prediction for this football game tonight is 34 to 23. Vikings win. 34 to 23. It's going to be an 11-point game. Vikings are going to win this football game. That is what I truly believe. And if you look at it, if you go to a calculator, if you look up Vikings win percentage on New York Times, we can see after this loss against Denver, the Vikings don't have a superb, great chance at making the playoffs. They dropped all the way down to 69%. Now, if they win this game versus the Bears, they jump up to an 81%. Lose this game versus the Bears, they drop to a 53%. Now, I've been through this multiple times. If they beat the Bears, beat the Raiders, I think they'll beat the Bengals now. Even with those, if they win their next 3 games, they have a 95% chance. Because even if, let's say they win those 3 games and then they lose the next 3, they have a 79% chance. If they split with the Lions, they have an over 99% chance to make the playoffs. And if they win versus the Packers, they just drop one to the Lions. That's 100%. Now, will the Vikings go 5-1? No, I don't trust the Vikings to go 5-1 for the season, like for the rest of the season. But should they beat the Bears? Yes. Raiders? Yes. Bengals? At this point, yeah. Lions? They should beat the Lions at least once. They should beat the Packers again. But, I'm fine with them not doing that. But at the same point, they need to at least split their games even. They need to split their games even, because if they go and they win 2 games and they lose 4, if they go 2-4 in these remaining 6 games, they have a 29% chance at making the playoffs. A simple 1 win will bring their chances up to a 79% chance if they beat the Bengals. If they beat the Lions, it'll bring it up to an 88%. Because it's a divisional game. So this is what you got to look for. You got to look for this type of stuff. And the Vikings, they need to win tonight to stay in the playoff fight. Now, will they win a Super Bowl this year? You never know. Are they probable to? No. But anything can happen. I mean, if the 8-8 New York Giants can beat the undefeated New England Patriots in a Super Bowl, anything's possible. Anything is. So the Vikings will win this football game 34-23 at the bank, go on and face nobody their next week because it's their bye week. So if the Vikings, I want to check the key inactives for tonight. Key inactives for Vikings versus Bears. I want to see if the Vikings are going to put in Justin Jefferson, because I bet you they will rule him out if they have not already. Bears designated as out is linebacker Noah Sewell. Vikings have no players designated as out. No players. Now, does that mean that no players will be out for this? No, players will be out. Players will be out. It's hard to explain. Like, just because somebody's doing great in practice doesn't mean that they're going to play. And Jalen Naylor comes back from injury, doesn't really play that much. And I like Jalen Naylor when we first drafted him. I wish that we would give him more snaps. I wish that, it looks like he doesn't put forth as much effort as he should. So I want him to start doing that. I mean, look, I just looked up the injury report on NFL, and it brings it back to the Patriots versus the Vikings. Just an absolutely amazing game on Thanksgiving. And we had David Andrews out. We had Marcus Jones out. Devontae Parker out. The Patriots had them out. No wonder I didn't recognize any names. And then for the Vikings, okay, here we go. Andrew Booth, Christian Darrisaw, Caleb Evans, Justin Jefferson, Zadarius Smith, and Dalvin Tomlinson. I got to stay on top of my game, bro. I'm tired. I'm working on 3 hours of sleep last night after commentating on a football game. And let me tell you about that real quick. My high school football team lost at state 38-10, but it was a blast. It was the first game I ever commentated on, and I'd say I did pretty well. So I want to get more of those opportunities. I believe that I will get more of those opportunities. I love the people that I worked around. I got to make friends with all of them, and I think that they are all good people. They're my Facebook background now. I really did enjoy my time hanging out with them, talking with them. They're really nice people. They seem like people I could just, let loose around, not worry about being judged. I could say something to them and they wouldn't go around and tell everybody my business. But, very, very fun game. And I just want to take this side rant and just say how much I appreciate those people. And I'm not going to name drop, but how much I appreciate those people that I went and I sat and commentated on that football game with. Well, I'll say the commentators' names. Andrew Ives, who's a Lions fan, and Ryan Welch, who's a Seahawks fan. Both of them incredible guys, great commentators. I loved working with them, and along with everybody else, because I'm not going to give name shout-outs to people just in case they don't want those name shout-outs. I'll ask them and then give them a shout-out on my show, which you should check out on thedogradio.com on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central Time. So keep that in mind. My show is very high energy. I shout a lot, use sound effects. You would not expect it to be the same person. You would not expect me to be shouting on a mic. I mean, you might, but trust me, it's way different. But anyway, I'm looking at the practice report right now. The Bears practice report, not record, is the Bears fullback, Kyari, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, Blasingame. Their fullback was full participation. Larry Borum, their tackle, is sick, did not participate, he's doubtful. Deontay Foreman, ankle and shin, is doubtful. Mercedes Lewis, tight end, nothing posted. Lucas Patrick, center, nothing posted. Noah Sewell is the only player listed out, like I said, And Tyreek Stevenson, corner, a big key asset to that Bears defense, is questionable. Now, when you look at the Vikings lineup, the Vikings have Brian Asamoah, or Asamoah, however you want to say it. I say Asamoah. He says his name is Asamoah. I just think Asamoah sounds scarier. Brian Asamoah, 0 injury, full participation, game status not posted, so he's probably playing. I take it that means green light, he's playing. Caleb Evans, calf, questionable. Jaron Hall, nothing. TJ Hawkinson, nothing. Justin Jefferson, hamstring, questionable. Nick Mullins, nothing, questionable. Chris Tonga, knee, questionable. So, looking at this, TJ Hawkinson should play. That's a key asset. Jaron Hall, we might be able to slip Jaron Hall in if we're playing a great game. We can slip him in, finish up the game, see how he plays, see if he's going to be the future of our franchise, put Brian Asamoah in. I mean, we just signed Anthony Barr back. Welcome back in purple, Anthony Barr. But, Caleb Evans, is he a key part of our defense? Yes and no. Is he a starter? Yes. Is he pretty good? Yes. Now, is he, a great corner? I don't know. Like, Byron Murphy has his good days and he has his bad days. He has those days where he can lock down prime Megatron. Then he has those other days where he would let, I don't know. I don't want to say anyone's name bad, like it's a, a bad player. I mean, it just, you'd allow a 5-year-old to catch 3 touchdowns on you. It's one or the other. Either he plays absolutely phenomenal or he plays absolutely terrible. And that's what he needs to work on. And I hope that if he plays tonight, which he should, he plays absolutely phenomenal, because he will be covering a top wide receiver in DJ Moore, who has found his connection with his quarterback. Chris Tonga, not a big asset. Nick Mullins, not a big asset. Justin Jefferson, I wonder if that's a big asset right there. TJ Hawkinson should play. Jaron Hall should play. He shouldn't. He should not be the starter, but he should be able to play. Brian Asamoah should play. So we should be set on this football game, and I wonder, I could have a notification come in at any second. I don't have great connection in here, but I could have notifications coming in any second telling me about that. I just looked at it. The Vikings have an 80, there's a poll. The Vikings are chosen. 81% of people think the Vikings are going to win. 19% think the Bears are going to win. So, I could just sit here. I could give you guys an update. That's if the update comes up. Game tonight, though, is at 7:15 Central Time. So make sure you check out that football game. Don't go anywhere. Just sit, grab your popcorn, watch that football game, see if it'll be over by halftime. Hopefully it'll be over in the Vikings' favor by halftime. Put in Jaron Hall, see what the rookie can do. I would just love to see that. He showed really, really good skills, and I believe that he could do something, great. Time to talk a little bit about the Timberwolves, because, I got to hurry this up. I might run out of time. I don't know what the 7th hour class for my teacher is doing, but the Timberwolves. Oh, the Timberwolves playing great. Playing absolutely wonderful. I mean, Rudy Gobert is top 5 in rebounds. He's tied for 5. I mean, but we're just on it. We're playing wonderful, absolutely amazing. Just sit there, admire the standings of being a game ahead of the Thunder in the Western Conference, sitting at number 1. Just sitting there, that loss versus the Kings. Oh, that was a terrible loss. Absolutely terrible, but a win over the 76ers and a win over the Grizzlies. And guess who's next? Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Time, The Timberwolves will face the Oklahoma City Thunder, and whoever wins this whoever wins this basketball game will be first in the Western Conference. So the Timberwolves have to watch their back here, because if the Timberwolves slip up, they could be done. Because once you get a lead in a conference, it's pretty easy to just take off and run away with that. And that's what they could do right here. They could just get up and run away with it. But the Timberwolves, with 2 games in the last 3 that kept their opponents under 100 points, I mean, they have a lot more games this season. But could they screw up? Yeah. Will they? Probably not. So we just got to look at this. And we got to say, hey, Anthony Edwards has been absolutely amazing all season. I mean, Anthony Edwards is my favorite player. He's just on I just like Anthony Edwards. He's 10th for points per game. He's 5th, tied for 5th for rebounds per game. He's tied first for assists, and he's 77th for field goal percentage. But you can't always look at field goal percentage, because that can be out of players that have only shot 1 basket all season. But, just great basketball around the league. I've been watching a lot of Bulls games on NBC Sports Chicago, and the Bulls just cannot shoot that ball. I mean, you have DeMar DeRozan. It's all good for DeMar, and I love DeMar. But he can't be the only person. Yes, you have Zach LaVine, but when you can't shoot that basket, or versus the Nets, you can't cover that 3. The Nets, practically every time they went down there and they shot a 3, they got it. They usually got that 3. I mean, just compare it. Compare the stats right next to each other. Field goal percentage, Bulls 48.2, Nets 49.4. Pretty even there. 3-pointers made, Bulls 12, Nets 25. Nets had a 47.2% 3-point percentage. And the Bulls had a 37.5 3-point percentage. The Bulls only really lead in free throw percentage. And that's usually because the other team gets a lot of free throws, which surprised me that the Bulls actually got as many free throws as they did. But the Bulls' defense has not been great, and their offense has not been great. I mean, the Bulls' offense allowed 7 steals. They had 9 turnovers in that game. Or they had 11 turnovers in that game. Even worse. The Bulls have to kick their head in gear. I want to see the Bulls do great. They're sitting at 13th in the Eastern Conference. Will they make the playoffs? You never know. Maybe. Will they? Probably no. It's like the Wizards and Pistons. It's pretty much done for them. But, I mean, it's kind of like basketball. It could be done for you, but you still want to fight for pride and fantasy points. So, you look at it, you got to also compete with teams like the Celtics, Magic, Bucks, 76ers, Pacers, Heat, Knicks, Cavs, Hawks, and Nets. Those are the top 10 teams. So you just got to look at it, and you got to be like, oh, well, hold up a second. We need to give it a little breather right now. But before I just go over tracking with that, I will talk about hockey. And let me tell you how upset I constantly am that the Central Division goes Avalanche, Stars, Jets, Blues, Predators, Coyote, Wild, and Blackhawks. The Wild dropped from number 4 in the division to number 7 with a record of 5-10 with 4 overtime losses. What I noticed, and what I believe I've touched on before, is the fact that the Wild have allowed the most goals in the Central Division. And if you look at it, There's only two teams above 70, and that's the Blackhawks and Wild, both sitting at the bottom of the division. The Wild are on a 7-game losing streak. So when you're on a losing streak that's that bad, you need to snap it. They just lost 4-1 against the Red Wings. Now that Avalanche game, they put up a great fight. They put up a great fight versus the Maple Leafs. They got to beat the Bulls. They got to beat the Blues tomorrow. Is their season over? No. There's so many more games left. It comes to the same lines. Will they make the playoffs? Probably not. Now, would I love for them to make the playoffs? Most definitely. But they probably won't. They probably won't. You got to look at the sheer reality. Now, the Timberwolves, oh yeah, Timberwolves should make the playoffs. Should the Vikings make the playoffs? Oh yeah, they should. Going inside this next season, inside the MLB, should the Twins make the playoffs? Yes. Twins will probably win their division again. They have a weak division. Just, you got to look at it and say, the Wild is not where it's at. I mean, the Wild have been playing absolutely horrendous. Their difference is minus 20 goals. I mean, just look at it. Like the Sharks, I'm just glad I'm not a Sharks fan. Negative 55. The Sharks have allowed 89 goals. Now, look at the goalies inside the Pacific Division. The Kraken, Flames, Ducks, Oilers, and Sharks have all allowed more goals than the Wild have in the Western Conference. And if you look inside the Eastern Conference, then you have the Lightning, you have the Sabres, you have the Canadiens, and then you have the Devils, the New Jersey Red Devils, and you have the Blue Jackets. Those are all plus 70. That's all plus 70. That's not the teams that have, allowed more goals. The teams, there is the Kraken, the Sharks, nobody in the Atlantic Division, and would the Blue Jackets, if you consider tying, the Blue Jackets are tied. But if you don't consider tying, if you just want to know who has more, nobody in the Atlantic Division has allowed more goals. And then if you look at the point differential, the Wild have the third worst differential, only behind the Sharks and behind the Blackhawks. So they got to snap that 7-game losing streak or else they're absolutely done. They are Dunyan rings. Nothing that they can do. I mean, just look at their schedule coming up. Their schedule coming up is actually pretty hard. I mean, I would hate to be the Wild. You go and you face the Blues, then the Predators, then the Blackhawks. Blackhawks should be a win. Then you face the Flames, Canucks, Oilers, Kraken, Flames, Canucks, Penguins, Bruins, Canadiens, Bruins, Red Wings, Jets, Flames, Lightning, Blue Jackets, Stars. Those back-to-back Star games will both be losses. Those two Bruins games will be losses. That Penguins game, a loss. They'll lose one of the Canuck games. They'll beat the Oilers again, but they'll lose 2 of those 3 Flames games. They have a tough schedule. Now, they need to show right here, right now, how good of a team they can possibly be. Because if you look, start of the season, win 2-0, then lose 7-4, then win 5-2, then lose 7-3. So it's a blowout either way. Then they bring it close with a loss to the Blue Jackets. Then they blow out the Oilers. Then they get blown out. Then they lose by 1. Then they lose by 1. Then they lose by 2. Then they win by 1. Then they win by 2. Then they lose by 3. Then they lose by 1. Lose by 5. Lose by 1. Lose by 1. Lose by 1. And lose by 3. They need to come off head full of steam and win a football game. They just need to. They need to win this football game. Why do I keep on saying football? I am tired beyond belief. I'm going to go home and take a nap before this football game because I do not have religion class. And I honestly do not feel like editing this video. So I'm just gonna, upload it, say, yep. But yeah, I mean, they just got to win these next few games to actually like boost themselves up in the standings. Because if they win against the Blues, that's a legitimate win. The Blues are 11-8 with one loss in overtime. I mean, the Wild have been terrible in overtime. Absolutely terrible. And they have not been a great team. You got to think the Wild started off 5-3 and lost the next 7 games. Everything was going great. And then we just decided to not play. So I don't really know what we're going to be doing. I mean, I hope the Vikings win tonight, but I just do want to touch back on that football game that I commentated on. I'm definitely going to need to go home and take a nap. My apologies, everybody. That football game that I commentated on was absolutely amazing. I'm glad with the opportunities that my teachers are giving me with giving me my own radio show, letting me record this podcast in here. I am forever grateful to my teachers for letting me do this and giving me this opportunity to go and commentate on a football game and actually do well, I would say, commentating. And the producer said I did good. The sideline reporter said I did good. Everybody was saying how good I did. And I'm very, very happy with these opportunities, and I'm going to start commentating on basketball. So once again, I'm asking all of you, if you do want to support me with my journey, along with my buddies, Mireille, Ryan, and Andrew, I would love if you guys downloaded the Dog Radio app on your Google Play Store, App Store, whatever you can get it on, and just watch for my show at 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday. Also check out Trent and Ari's show at, I believe it is 6 and 11s on Thursday. It is a true crime documentary. I just want to throw that out there. I think that their show is pretty interesting. And if you want to get into a little bit of politics, Andrew and Zach run their own show. I believe it's Zach with Andrew. I know Andrew does it. They run their own show right before, I believe, that show of the true crime documentary. So make sure you give those shows a listen. You know, those people were all people that I sat and got to know. I mean, you have to get to know people when you go down inside a car ride, packed inside a car full of people like a can of sardines, and you just sit around those people all the way down, set stuff up with them, talk to them after, drive with them back home. We all get home at like 2 a.m. I just, I like all those people. And I do hope the best for those people. If they ever need help, best believe I'm going to sit there. I'm going to help them, whatever they need help on. I mean, they're such nice people. I'm glad that they gave me the opportunities that they did inside my life. This is my senior year. I got to make it count. And my teacher, he's making it count, giving me my own radio show, letting me commentate. And then you have all these people that go in and they make me feel right at home and right as part of the crew, which I absolutely love and adore, and I'm thankful to all of them. And if any of you guys listen to my show, you guys know who you are, and I absolutely am forever grateful. If you guys ever need anything, just let me know, and I'll make sure that you're taken care of, because you guys showed me such love and respect just meeting me. Some of you just meeting me. Some of you, I met you a couple years ago, and I haven't talked to you in a while. But you guys just showed that love and respect to me that I really, I guess, needed in that moment, so I could go out and I could give a very good performance for my first time ever commentating. And I'm glad with all the positive feedback that you guys gave me. And you guys told me where I screwed up at, but you guys did not sit and just, make fun of me for it. So I will forever be grateful to you guys. thank you all. And thank you all for listening. I just wanted to shout out those few things. But just remember, 6 and 11's Wednesday night, Chalice's Palace will be on. And I always say on my radio show, for a loudmouth, hot takes, and hot point of views, you can catch me here at 6 and 11's on Chalice's Palace on thedogradio.com. So, that'll wrap everything up, people. A 50-minute show. My show at the school is an hour. So, I just hope that all of you guys can have a good night. I believe that the Vikings can win tonight. Skol Vikings. I believe that they can play an absolutely phenomenal game versus the Bears. The Bears are not that competitive of a team. So after those few little things that I had to add, for the 50th time, I know you're probably like, hey, let's get out of here. I guess that's it. Peace out, everybody.